Hey guys, welcome back to EF Live, our weekly webinar series coming at you from Empire Flippers. I'm Jake Davis, and I've got Greg Elfrink with me today. Greg, how are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing good, Jake. How are you
Dude,
doing, man?
it's going well. Today's been I had a good morning, got a good breakfast, good lunch, and now I'm just psyched to be here with you today. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's like 1 a.m. for you right now, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm in Vietnam at the moment. This is where I currently live for the majority of my time. So yeah, 1 a.m. I'm used to the weird
Mm-hmm.
hours, as you know. So
Yeah, the funny thing about Greg is I'll shoot him a message at about like 10 a.m. my time, so that's 9 a.m. his time. He'll get back to me about 8 p.m. my time, so about 7 a.m. Like these crazy hours, and it's just like, man, when was the last time you had a regular sleep schedule?
I probably had a regular sleep schedule in high school because I used to work in the oil field, right? So like I'd work midnight to noon for a week and then switch to noon to midnight, and then I had a couple days to like make that switch, and I did that for years, you know. So my sleep schedule was
Mm-hmm.
permanently messed up, probably forever.
Well, at least
Oh,
you were able to be on today with that schedule. So, guys, thanks for joining us again.
yeah.
This is, I believe, episode six of our new webinar series over here at Empire Flippers. And the goal of the series is to be able to just give you all the information that would be useful to you in terms of getting started with your own online business or selling, buying, anything that you need to know in order to do your online business here. And our series right now that we're doing is on so the first four episodes we did were on Amazon FBA. Now we're talking about drop shipping, e-commerce, all of this. And today we're actually talking about multi-channel sales. So how can selling on multiple platforms help your business? And Greg, can you just kind of give yourself a brief introduction and let everyone know why you are the multi-channel sales expert?
Yeah, so my name is Gregory Elfring. I'm the director of marketing with Empire Flippers. Jake and I go way back since I'm the one who
Mm-hmm.
interviewed him for the seller interview position, and obviously he got the job. Great interviewer. So what I do for Empire Flippers is anything marketing related. I handle the marketing team. I'm building out SOPs, systems, processes. I started off 2 years, almost 2 years ago. Next month will be 2 years as an apprentice with Empire Flippers, and then became their content manager and now director of marketing. It's been a great ride. As far as multi-channel selling goes, I want to say I'm the expert, but I know quite a bit that could be pretty helpful for people out there, especially if you're just doing FBA or something like where you only have one channel and you might never have thought about doing multi-channel. I think this would be a pretty good webinar for you.
Yeah, so the funny thing about what Greg said about how he's the one who interviewed me, as he said, he hired me to do the seller interviews, and I've been doing those since the summer. I actually applied for a different position, and I didn't get it. That was disappointing. But then he called back, and I got this awesome opportunity, and now I've been doing seller interviews since I think July. It was either like mid to late July or early August. I know when I took over. Yeah,
Around
yeah,
there, yeah.
or midsummer. So I've been doing those now, and then now we're starting up the show, and it's an awesome opportunity. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I'm Jake Davis. I'm going to be on every single week on this webinar with a different member of the EF team and from outside the EF team to try to give you the best content possible. A little bit about me is I am a soon to be graduated engineering student from the University of Central Florida in Orlando. Can't wait to be done. And then this summer, I'll be actually hanging out with Greg, working in Vietnam. Hopefully, he doesn't get me on these crappy sleep schedule. Man,
Oh, you'll
don't
love it,
mess
man.
me
I
up.
love it.
No, see, here's the crazy thing. I'm gonna go over to Vietnam and I'm gonna have the same sleep schedule. Like I'll be sleeping normal Eastern U.S. times. Just like I'll be awake in the middle of the night with Greg. Um, but yeah, no. So we're here and we want to talk about multi-channel sales. So before we really dive into the content, Greg, do you have anything that you just wanna add?
No, not really. I mean, most people who are familiar with EF somewhat know who I am already, but like I said earlier, I'm the director of marketing. Used to work in the oil field. I know you always talk about your
Hmm.
gaming passion, Jake, on here. So I'm also passionate about writing. So I write fiction. I write poetry. Anyone who's friends with me on Facebook probably sees me write poetry all the time. So big literature nerd. Outside of that, though, that's about it, man. That's about
Yeah,
me.
I look forward to reading some of your stories. I love I love reading, but I also, like he said, I play video games. I speed run a Zelda game, and I actually am gonna be the first one taking on this new like strategy, this new trick to save about 3 to 4 minutes. So hopefully, like I may be able to get the world record on my game and category, which would be insanity.
make just make sure the EF logo is
Yeah,
next to
yeah.
your name in that
I'll
Guinness Book of
switch.
Records
So
thing. It's good
I'll switch
marketing
my
for
Twitch
us.
streaming setup so I stream like this with the EF live right
Just
there.
the EF logo.
But yeah, guys. So we're gonna be talking about multi-channel sales, and if you have any questions, we want this information to be helpful to you. So if there's anything you want to know, whether it be about me or Greg or EF in general or multi-channel sales, Amazon FBA, whatever it be, we're gonna be doing a Q&A at the end of this webinar. So sit back, enjoy the content, and we'll be ready to answer any question that you may have. So let's dive into this content that we have. Again, we're going to be talking about multi-channel selling. So it may be a little obvious, but before, let's just, anyway, what is multi-channel selling? So it's simply when you sell your product on multiple platforms. So that could be you sell on Amazon and eBay. You sell on Amazon and Shopify site. You sell on Shopify and eBay. You sell on Walmart and Target. Whatever it may be. But Greg, what? How is that helpful to you?
Yeah, so just going through the presentation is exactly what you said. It's a very simple concept that a lot of people shy away from. And I think a big reason why they shy away from it is mainly because they feel it's maybe a bit too complex. Maybe it will distract them from what they're currently doing, like launching new products on Amazon FBA's program, for example. Like, why would I go to a different, channel? And the real reason why, man, is it can deepen your moat. It can minimize critical points of failure in your business. And if you're not familiar with that saying, a critical failure point, it basically means like if you have one thing that fails in your business, will that kill the business? And in the case of Amazon FBA, your greatest point of critical failure is the fact that you're on Amazon, and they can change their terms of service anytime and knock you out, knock your entire account down, and suddenly you don't have a business, right? So that's a critical point of failure. Now, of course, in the Amazon FBA case, that's also a critical point of strength in the sense that there's just monstrous amounts of traffic coming from Amazon. With both organic, you can use their AWS service to promote your products. So there's a lot of good things going on for the fact that your product's on Amazon as well. But multi-channel selling can help you avoid these critical points of failure, and really it can help you evolve into a real brand instead of doing just these shotgun kind of stores where you maybe load up Jungle Scout, you find the easiest product, and you just keep doing that, and you might have 30 SKUs that are totally unrelated. You can't really build a brand around that. Typically, you could try to build a general brand or whatever, but typically it doesn't work out very well. So with multi-channel selling, it's really good if you're looking to deepen your moat, which will improve the value of your business, make it harder to copy, and it will allow you to start building out a real brand. And it's not as complicated as you might think if you just keep a few principles in mind. So with that said, there is a interesting study done by Stitch Labs back in 2015. I don't know the updated numbers, but businesses that sell their products on at least two marketplaces tend to see a 190% increase in revenue, according to the study, which is pretty big. And if you start, from one channel and you go through the hassle of getting on the next channel, I mean, it just becomes pretty routine. Like every channel, of course, is a little bit different, but you'll start learning how to do it, and it's not, it's not the biggest challenge in the world. So one thing that people might think about is, what platforms can I be on? The obvious ones, Amazon, right? Amazon FBA is the really big, elephant in the room that everyone is on and selling their products. But there's a bunch of other marketplaces out there too. Like Jet is a good one. Walmart, House with two Z's. And really any big online retailer store is a possibility. You just reach out to them like, hey, how do I get onto your website? and you can even reach out to offline boutique retailers. So what we've seen, and Jake, I'm sure you've interviewed them, we'd have sellers selling physical products, and they'll actually email different offline retailers to get their product into those people's store. Usually those people will buy up a bunch, so they'll buy it wholesale, so you don't make the retail margin, but you still make wholesale margin, which can be pretty good at high enough volume. So and of course, the obvious other platform is your own e-commerce store platform. So that can be done through a Shopify store you create, WooCommerce, Magento, even a custom build, what have you. And those are great if you have your own store platform because you control every part of it, right? So you can increase your brand even further. You can control your marketing funnels much better, typically. But yeah, so those are like some different channels to think about when it comes to multi-channel selling.
Yeah, and
Uh,
something that,
yeah.
doing these seller interviews, a lot of the businesses that I interview, if you listen to all the seller interviews, which I actually had a seller tell me that, oh my god, it's kind of like surreal being on with you. Like I listened to all of them. Oh my god, I hear your voice. It's crazy, and like that just blew me away. Thank you guys so much for enjoying the content that we put out here at Empire Flippers. Like seriously, this is for you all. But again, if you've heard me listen, if you've heard me on all the seller interviews and then on the webinar here, one thing that I really try to stress is not putting all your eggs in one basket. As Greg was saying, Amazon it's is it like the second wealthiest company, second biggest company in the world? It's probably not going anywhere, and the
Yeah.
FBA program is growing, and Amazon's making a lot of money off it. It actually, it also like makes it so that Amazon themselves don't need to create these products because they're selling other people's. Like it's a good model for them. However, when you are playing in someone else's court, you are subject to their rules. And even if it's not, and while however unlikely this is because of the reasons I just said, Amazon, something could happen, and diversifying a little bit so that if something does happen is not the worst idea. And there's plenty of ways to do that. As Greg was talking about, there are a ton of different platforms, in addition to ones he mentioned like Jet and Walmart. You could go on eBay. You could try to get on Target, Walmart, all these places. But a really good opportunity would be setting up your own Shopify storefront, your own website. And a reason for that, at least in my opinion, is that when you are set up on your own Shopify site, on your own website, you control the traffic coming in, you control the experience, you control the presentation, you can try to collect emails, and you can get all this traffic from all these different sources. You can do Facebook marketing, you can do Google SEO work, and there are a lot of opportunities there. Greg, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely right, man. One of the things we always talk about is, the
Mm-hmm.
moat concept, right? Like, so how can my Shopify store, my dropshipping store, or my FBA product, is if my FBA product is just another Me Too product where, everyone's kind of doing it, the exact same thing. Well, anyone can go and copy that in an afternoon. It might take them 60 days or whatever to get the product on to Amazon, but they have your entire business basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're selling almost the exact same product. So when you have multiple different channels, when you're building a real brand, especially when you have your own e-commerce store where you can control all the levers in your business completely, that really can level up your game in a big way and deepens your moat, which makes your business ultimately much more valuable and much more attractable to a
Mm-hmm.
potential buyer. So for sure, man.
So I guess the big question then is, if you're starting out, which platform should you go for first?
If someone is starting out, what I would recommend is them to go with Amazon. And the reason why is there's just an insane amount of traffic on Amazon. It's a known quantity in the sense that there's a lot of people doing it. So there's a lot of really good groups out there. You can network with other people and figure out any kind of issues you have, marketing strategies, stuff like that. There's qualified experts in that
Mm-hmm.
field. Whereas if you started with a place like Jet, I'm sure there are qualified people who sell a ton on Jet or House.com, but they're just not as many of them. So you want to earn your
Mm-hmm.
chops first a little bit, right? And Amazon's a great place to do that. I actually would, if you're going with a source product, I would suggest starting with Amazon for sure, because it's kind of e-commerce on training wheels in that a lot. If you do the SEO, the optimization of it for Amazon search engine correctly, you don't really have to worry about traffic that much because Amazon's just going to keep sending it to you once you launch your product successfully, which allows you to isolate some of the departments of the business to where you can really understand the logistics side of things and honing those skill sets, which are very important later on if you do decide to do multi-channel selling, because one, you're going to be selling a whole lot more, right? And two, if you start your own e-commerce store and you start running a bunch of paid traffic, you want to have a really good feel on the logistics side
Mm.
of your business, because that's honestly a place where a lot of people fail in their e-commerce stores, where they fail to plan for how much product they need, and they might sell a ton of product and then they have like no money to reorder the product because they misspent it because they didn't realize the different costs that would be involved in getting the product quickly to their warehouse because they had a huge uptick in sales and all that stuff. So a big part of the business is that inventory management aspect. I think starting with FBA is a great way
Mm.
to go with it.
Yeah, and Tom Trial, just real quick on Facebook, in the group chat, Etsy. Yeah, Etsy's totally a just another platform. And I guess another thing with that I want to just add on is, as long as you are getting on these other platforms in a way that doesn't come at a loss to you. And what I mean by that is, potentially, setting up, maybe you're selling on Amazon US and you try to get to Amazon Japan, for instance. Maybe selling your product in on Amazon Japan is just too costly in terms of shipping and all the other factors involved. So as long as you can get on these other platforms cost effectively, the only thing that you're doing is getting your product in front of more eyes, and more eyes can potentially be more sales. And the other thing with Amazon is Amazon has the brand registry program, and they have the 1.0 and the 2.0 program. I believe it's the 2.0 that requires a trademark, a registered trademark on the brand, in order to be part of that program. But in any case, you need to have some sort of web presence for your brand, so Amazon recognizes, hey, this is a brand, this is a real business. And just getting part of that program can really help boost your traffic that you receive on Amazon. So again, that's just more incentive to try to get on other platforms.
Absolutely. Just to add on top of that, so if someone's out there and they're like, God, I understand multi-channel selling is going to be really powerful, but I know Amazon. Like, you don't have to leave
Mm-hmm.
Amazon right away to kind of do the multi-channel thing. Like you mentioned, you can open up in Japan, or Europe is a great market. France, Germany, Spain, and Italy. There, we know a lot of people just making a killing in those markets. And the cool thing is, once you get your product in the EU and the UK, is they use all the same fulfillment centers. At least last I
Mm-hmm.
heard, they use all the same fulfillment centers. So really, it's just like pressing a button, and your listing goes live in all those marketplaces. And it's not that hard to hire a competent translator to write your product description for you. In fact, what I would do if I was doing that and I really wanted to do it well, I would hire a translator who then hires a copywriter who's native in that town, in that country. So I'd hire like a Spanish translator, tell the Spanish translator, I need you to hire a Spanish
Mm-hmm.
copywriter for me. And I translate his translator. Translator gives it to the copywriter. He would make the best copywriting for me on that product listing. That's the way I would go about it. And that's just a really easy way to, expand your reach just using Amazon without even having to leave that
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem.
So I guess a question that comes out of all of this is, when you're trying to expand, as you said, you need to, let's say you're on Amazon first, you don't have to leave Amazon, but you do need to divert, yeah, that's the right word, divert some resources to these other, sometimes I'm talking and I realize that, like, I know English, but sometimes I say these words that just aren't correct in that instance. But divert is totally correct. So yes,
It's
it's
correct. I give it my
yes.
approval.
Okay, awesome. I've got Greg's approval on my word choice. So anyway, you need to divert some of your resources to these other channels. And but what do you do with inventory? Do you try to keep inventory, you know, how do you ensure that you have enough inventory on all these different channels? I guess is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, so that flows into my next slide about handling inventory on different marketplaces. So again, most people don't do multi-channel selling because of these extra complications. Like you said, you have to divert some of your resources, right? So if you have a ton of product, like in a warehouse in the EU, but you have a huge uptick in sales in America, it could be kind of frustrating, right? Like, well, I can't just take this product out of there, or you could, but it's still going to take forever to get to the warehouse or whatever. So there's a few solutions there, and you know these complications, they can be solved by a lot of just free tools that are out there right now. For example, the good news with the FBA program with Amazon is that they will fulfill any channel. So if you have 90% of your inventory, 100% of your inventory in a Amazon warehouse fulfillment center in America, and you decide to run your own Shopify store, get on Walmart, all these places, all in the USA, you can use that exact same fulfillment warehousing that FBA has. So you can, all your product is at one place, and you can see it being depleted in one place, and that's where your resources are and all that good stuff. So you can fulfill from that warehouse, and they handle all the logistics on your behalf. And there's also fully integrated tools, which are premium, like Scubana, for instance. You can use Scubana, and they will check out where your inventory actually is and what SKUs are selling and what channel those SKUs are selling in. So you might get your product on House, which I believe they have a generally older demographic for their consumers versus Amazon. And that product might go gangbusters on House, but that same SKU on Amazon might be a bit lackluster. And Scubana will tell you that. And plus, you're fulfilling it all from the same FBA warehouse anyways. So handling inventory can be simplified in that respect. Now, if you do split up American Amazon versus like EU Europe, or EU
EU
Amazon, then
Europe,
yeah, of course
yeah.
you're. Yeah. I do the same thing as you, Jake. That's why I hired you. But yeah, so you'd have to divert your resources over to their warehouses if you do that. But again, you can use those same fulfillment warehouses for all those same channels in Europe. So your fulfillment FBA warehouse in Europe can be used for Etsy, House, whatever online big retailer that they have going on in EU. So that's what I would suggest for that. And also, if you guys do Shopify, if you're more just pure Shopify person, there is a Shopify plugin. There's a few of them actually out there. I think there are multi-channel Shopify plugins that can monitor sales across all of your different channels. You just have to set it up, which might be a bit tedious at first, but once you get it going, it can become a pretty smooth
Yeah,
system.
so I feel like the big takeaway from this so far is multi-channel selling. Get on other platforms. Do it. Do it. Do it. So I guess the question is, what's a case where you wouldn't want to do that?
When you're first starting out, I'd say, like, if you have a brand new product, you kind of want it to be
Mm-hmm.
proven first, right? So I would go where there's most likely a chance that the product will be a hit, which will be Amazon, because just they have the biggest traffic and they sell everything. And then once you have a proven product, proven copy that's converting good, say you use a tool like Splitly, you optimize those headlines so they convert even better, then it's time to transfer that SKU over to another multi-channel place, into another place to sell that product.
So you don't feel like you should launch a product or, group of products on two platforms at once.
If you have a team and if you have capital in place, then sure, it's no, that's a different situation than someone just starting out. If you're starting out though, and it's just you're still doing the solopreneur, I would focus really on one sales channel till you really get the hang of that channel. And obviously choose a channel that has a lot of people in it that you can ask for advice. So your own Shopify store, Amazon FBA makes the most sense to me. But yeah, if you're just starting out, I would really focus on just one marketing channel and figure out how to work that before moving on to the
Mm-hmm.
next channel with your
So
products.
how does having multi-channel sales? I mean, it obviously helps you as a business owner, but how does it help you when you go to sell the business?
Yeah, so when you go to sell the business, ultimately you're going to get a much bigger price. Overall value of your business is going to increase quite dramatically because your moat is deeper, right? You have multiple different revenue streams coming from multiple different channels, so your moat is significantly deeper. If you did the brand route, which I highly recommend, especially if you're looking at selling a multiple six-figure to multiple seven-figure business, brand becomes increasingly more important as you get to those bigger businesses because a lot of buyers are not as interested in the the 50 SKUs shotgun approach. And when they're looking at buying a $3 million business, $4 million business, they want to see a real brand there that builds trust and confidence in them, that this business has built trust and confidence in their customers, and they built this community and all that kind of stuff. So ultimately, multi-channel allows you to increase that brand reach quite significantly, because each one of these big online retailers, they have their own monstrous amounts of traffic, right? Tons of people shop on House, tons of people shop on Walmart, all those places. And yeah, ultimately, multi-channel selling was going to widen that pool of potential buyers, because they will see your asset as one that is more safe, rather than left to the whims of something like Amazon's terms of service, which, as we talked about, could change any time, could kill your business overnight. Unlikely, but it can happen, and it has happened in the past. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Amazon slashed their affiliate commissions, right? And that took a lot of people out of the game, frankly. And that can happen if you focus on just one channel. I will say one thing when it comes to multi-channel versus focusing on one channel. If you did the shotgun approach with Amazon and you just keep launching new SKUs, you will probably make more money in the short term than if you had start doing multi-channel. But multi-channel is a very profitable long-term strategy for your business.
Do you feel, to play devil's advocate, do you feel like there is a case where someone looking to buy a business would think that they could get a better deal on a business that is only single channel because they have the resources to be able to launch that Shopify store, so they see the opportunity? Do you see that being the case?
You're talking about from
Yeah,
the
from the
buy
buy
side,
side.
right? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what we see a lot is people with pretty deep pockets. They have the capital. They'll come to buy this Amazon FBA business, and that solopreneur, it might be a multiple six-figure Amazon FBA business, and he's making money, but he's barely making any
Mm-hmm.
money. If you know what I mean? Like, he's spending all of it back in capital, because it's a very capital-intensive game. And so one of the big reasons why FBA guys will sell their businesses with us in the first place is they want to make
Yeah.
money from it. They're tired of putting all the money back into their product, and they just might not have the capital reserves that the buyer has, where he can just scale it to the moon. That buyer might have tons of connections with sourcing agents in China. He might already be ordering huge volumes, so you can just add this as a quick thing that he gets that same special discount on. So he already is increasing those profit margins. He might have a team in place, and so when he sees all these FBA businesses, it's a no-brainer for him, because the FBA business is just gravy on top of everything, while he goes and builds out all these other channels that he's already done. So he might have multiple FBA businesses or e-commerce businesses with products selling in different channels, and already knows how to
Mm-hmm.
do it, right? Versus most of the people selling with us, they focus on one channel, like one marketing channel and a few different products. So yeah, it's a huge opportunity for a buyer.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of ways to look at this, from the buyer, seller, and even if you never want to sell your business, from the,
Oh, for
if you
sure.
just
Yeah.
want to run your business, if you're very passionate about it and you want to keep it. Obviously, as Greg was saying, multi-channel selling is a long-term strategy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, all I was going to say is, in with that said, there are a lot of different points. So if you do have any questions, again, we're going to be doing Q&A after this. So any questions you have about anything that we've spoken about, or anything that we haven't spoken about today, but you just want to know in terms of Empire Flippers and your small business, small online business, let us know. We'll get to it. Um, Greg, I guess, what are some of the, you know, big dangers? We've already spoken about some, but do you feel like there are any big dangers to multi-channel selling that you want to touch on before we move on?
Absolutely. So what I was talking about when it comes to handling inventory, that is one of the most important aspects of any e-commerce business, whether you're selling on one channel or multiple channels. But it becomes especially crucial when you're doing multi-channel selling to have some kind of central nervous system set up in your business, where you can really see what SKUs are selling where, how many products do I have, and if you're using several different fulfillment centers, you're not doing the simplified strategy that I suggested with like using just FBA warehouses, that you need to make sure you have that data in one place, that you can compare everything a week by week basis. Because the last thing you want is a bunch of angry customers like, hey, what the hell, man? I just order this, and there's no product.
Mm-hmm.
Where is my product? And if you don't stay on top of that of your inventory, you can run into real problems because remember, your inventory shipment can take 60, 90, even 120 days from the time it's made to getting to the actual warehouse. So you need to always be planning for that. And I really recommend coming up, whether you use something like Scubana or something more custom, maybe having a developer make it for you or use spreadsheets, whatever your system is. You need to have a system for that, and you need to have something that can help you predict and forecast of where your sales are going to go. So if you know year over year growth or year over year steady or year over year decline, then you can augment what you need to order for that time period based off past performance and based off what you're doing right now. So I think that's really, really important to have that system in
A
place.
lot of times recently, actually, I've noticed that, when doing seller interviews, that there will be a big dip. They'll be doing, 10,000 a month in profit, 10,000, 12,000, 12,000, 10,000, and then just down to like 2,000 profit. And it's like, hey, what happened in that month? Was there like a negative advertising attack? Was there a competitor that came in? What happened? And a lot of the times,
Fiverr one
I
star
know.
reviews.
Someone comes out, like, just hires a bunch of people to go and leave terrible reviews. No, but like, seriously, I've seen multiple times recently these big dips, and what's the problem? They stock out. They run out of inventory. So, and
Absolutely.
especially as Greg was saying, people can get angry if they order something and they're let down. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, but there's actually something that I ordered about a year and a half ago. I was told it would be a Q2 2017 delivery. I still haven't gotten it. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, uh, you know, am I going to have to cancel this because I'm going to be moving soon? Like, I want it to get here before so I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And if you're selling on a bunch of different platforms, then if you have stockouts, it can really hurt your brand. And on all these different channels, you don't want your brand recognition, your brand approval to go down on every single channel you're on. So I mean, that for that
Yeah.
reason, it's alone, in addition to not losing out on sales, it's very important to keep up with inventory.
Absolutely. And if you want to do multi-channel selling, maybe you're already doing it, and you're going through each one of those dashboards on every channel. You need, like I said, you need to stop that. Figure out some way, whether it's Cubana or otherwise, to combine all that data in one easy place that all works together. So, because it's really easy to make a mistake if you don't have something
Mm-hmm.
like that, and it could be really sucky for your business when that does happen, because it's going to hurt your brand overall if you're trying to build a really good brand. And one bad sales channel can not destroy the other sales channels, but it could definitely spread a bad reputation, right? And you don't want
Mm-hmm.
that to happen.
So I guess we're gonna move into talking about a listing that we have, and it's relevant to this. So we'll keep talking about multi-channel sales. But again, just want to stress one more time: any questions you have, feel free to shoot them our way on YouTube or in Facebook. I didn't mention that before. In YouTube or on Facebook, there are these little chat rooms with the live video. So feel free to post your comments, and we'll get to as many as we can. But so let's talk about this listing today. 44069 on Empire Flippers, empireflippers.com/listing/44069. It's an e-commerce dropshipping and Amazon FBA business. So as we were saying, multiple sales channels in the apparel and accessories niche, and it's making $283,163 per month in revenue, and 49,000. So I'll round up 50,000 in profit on a monthly basis. So if you multiply that out through the year, that's about $600,000 it's making in profit every single year. And you you have to recognize that some of it comes down to branding and the products that you sell, but then also it comes down to having these multiple sales channels to help get the products out there. Greg, what do you see when you look at this business?
I was just thinking in my head, for any fans of Smart Passive Income,
Mm-hmm.
Pat Flynn, he had this thing. I think he might still say it, but it was like years ago when I read it. He talked about the be everywhere strategy, right? And we get this every now and then with Empire Flippers. My friend Tong Tran, he was looking up B Ninjas, their accounting agency specifically for like online businesses, right? He's like, oh, maybe I should use them, use these guys, and he goes to their blog to read some of their content. Who does he see? He sees a guest post from us, right? He's like, God, I can't get away from you guys. He's like, oh, that's what we want. And in a lot of ways, multi-channel selling is kind of the be everywhere strategy of e-commerce, in the sense of you're in every single store that someone might go to. So that's what I see here, that there's an opportunity, and there's probably a lot of stuff in here that you can hone and optimize,
Yeah, and I guess another thing that's worth talking about is, even though this business has the different sales channels set up, you can always set up more. If you have a winner of a
Yeah.
product, as Greg was saying, be everywhere. If you have a winner product, if you have killer marketing, if you're making $600,000 a year with your online business, then try to get in front of more people.
Yeah, absolutely. You can only increase your
Hmm.
odds, right? There's a couple things that this listing reminds me of, just, and also something we were talking about before we got on this call, Jake. Some bonus like marketing things, some out of the box stuff that a lot of people don't think about. For my friends out there doing FBA businesses, one thing you might want to look into is all these Amazon associate sites.
Hmm.
Like, you can go to the, like, say you're selling hockey sticks or something like that, and you find a bajillion of these Amazon affiliate sites selling hockey sticks or hockey related gear. You can reach out to those guys, and a lot of them, they get really good traffic, especially these bigger content authority sites. They get huge traffic, and you can do a sponsored post like, hey man, I'll give you $300 or $500, whatever it is, to list me in the top of your roundup review post. You want to be transparent, like, yes, give me a honest feedback on my product, of course. Maybe you send them a free product or something like that, just to write about you on their
Hmm.
blog. They're not writing a review on Amazon. They're writing like an actual SEO optimized article for you, or they're replacing some affiliate links with your affiliate links. And it's a way to get traffic to just your FBA store without having to do multi-channel selling, but you're still in other places related to your niche. So that's one thing. Another thing you can think of from a multi-channel perspective, or maybe multiple marketing channel perspective, is setting up your own affiliate program. If you have an e-commerce item that has good margins, and you really got your LTV down, your lifetime value for your customer, you can go and create your own affiliate program. And there's some affiliates out there that just crush it with paid traffic. You give them a $80 sponge, and they'll go make 10K
Hmm.
a day off of it. Like, that's their commission, not including what the guy creating the sponge is actually making. So there's a bunch of creative ways to expand your e-commerce business. You just got to think outside the box a little bit. And if anyone's interested on setting up an affiliate program for your e-commerce store, there are people out there. I believe one of them is called All Inclusive Marketing. Sarah and Ian Bundy run it. I think they act as kind of like a middleman that helps e-commerce stores and other business owners set up those affiliate programs, as well as get the affiliates to promote the e-commerce store. So they'll set you up on Shareasell or one of those other affiliate networks. So that's just another idea
Hmm.
right there of the be everywhere strategy.
Yeah.
Definitely have logistics down if you do the affiliate
Yes,
stuff,
yes. You
though.
don't want to run into a cost or an inventory issue when going this route. But as Greg's saying, that's an excellent strategy, because be everywhere and try to get um, more people selling for you. I mean, if you have the inventory,
Yeah, you
if
can't
you
beat
have the
that, right?
inventory for it and you're not losing money on each sale, what's it hurt? So now we're gonna
Yeah,
transition
absolutely.
into Q&A again, guys. Facebook and YouTube, get in there, post your comments. We'll get to them, and I see we have some. But before we get to that, I want to bring up one thing to Greg here. Is you mentioned Amazon Associate, and something that just kind of blows my mind when I do seller interviews with Amazon Associate business owners is, once you get it up and running, these businesses take 0 hours of work every single week. For
Yeah, they're amazing
for
business
for real
models.
though, and I know we'll do an Amazon associate, and we'll do advertising um, episodes later. So we'll touch on that in more in depth in a future episode. But I just want to ask Greg here, how do you feel about combining, if we have an Amazon uh, FBA business with Amazon Associate, if you have your own website there. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a fantastic idea. We just sold Spencer Hawes' site for
Mm-hmm.
Niche Pursuits, and that was the exact same model he had. He had a Amazon FBA portion as well as an Amazon affiliate site portion. And that affiliate site, I believe, it sold more than just his own products. So it was like a true content authority site, really well built, great content on there, all about his product and that niche in general. And like that's a great way to increase your brand. Like if the Wirecutter came out with their own USB drive, right? I'm sure tons of people would buy that in droves. I'm sure it would be through their Amazon
Mm-hmm.
affiliate link, and so they get to double dip, right? Not only do you get the advertising fees from Amazon, but you also get your profit margins from selling your actual product. The cool thing is, if you do that, it's kind of like the e-commerce idea where you get to control more, right? So if you create a really big authority site that has all this traffic, every time you launch a new Amazon FBA product, you have an unfair advantage versus all the other people who are just sticking with FBA because they're scared to, explore different options. You can just send all your email list to a sales letter on your content site that leads to your product. Get a ton of sales on day one, which will also game Amazon's algorithm because that algorithm, if they see sales happening, Amazon's going to promote the crap out of
Mm-hmm.
you. They want to make more money, so them seeing your product is hot, they're like, oh man, we got
Yeah.
to promote this thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's all sorts of benefits from doing that, I highly recommend it.
So, Ujwal here, which, by the way, Ujwal was here last week, so it kind of makes me super.
Now, what's up,
Yeah,
Ujwal?
Ujwal, how's it going? Shout out to you, and also shout out to you because I believe you're planning on going to the Empire Flippers retreat. Um,
Oh, good. I'll be there,
well,
Ujwal. We'll
do
meet.
you got just brief information on that, Greg?
Yeah, so early bird tickets are all sold out at this point. We sold them all within like a week, I think, maybe a little bit less than a week. There are still a couple of general admission tickets left, though. So if anyone's out there and they really want to come hang out with myself and the rest of the EF crew and have a good time in Phuket and learn some valuable business insights, as long as your business makes over six figures per year and it's a predominantly online business, you're more than welcome to grab up one of those remaining tickets and come join us in
Mm-hmm.
Phuket. And that will be in September, I believe.
Yes.
So you guys can come out and hang out with us then.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. And again, Ujwal, shout out to you, and thank you so much for coming back. Like that's kind of really cool. That's really cool. Thank you. So anyway, he says, how do you grow vendors source as you scale globally? Source regional. Should you source regional specific vendors, EU, Asia, etc., or do you recommend getting most items from Asia to supply for all your regions globally?
So I think you're talking about the supply
Yes.
side, like you're talking about actually getting the product. Yeah. So what I recommend is, well, it kind of depends. So if you're doing anything that is like digestible, like supplements, any kind of Nutra thing, I would recommend always having your supplier in a more Western country where they have high food standards and all that stuff, just because you want to make sure you're 100% compliant on that stuff. And there's a lot of different gray areas. You just want to make sure you're 100% white hat on that completely. As far as physical products go, I'm much more open to where that region might be because physical product is a physical product. China obviously is a good pick in terms of is there an advantage of say like if you're selling in EU for your FBA product, is there an advantage of getting a factory in Germany that produces your product? Possibly. Uh, there might still be cheaper coming from China, and there's definitely high quality products that China makes nowadays. It's not like the olden days in the 90s where they were just making, super low quality stuff. They make some really high quality stuff over there now. So it depends. I would say what you should do is always having a running list of different vendors. When you go to these different trading shows, like, there's a couple big ones in China. I believe there's a pretty big one in Europe as well now. But when you go to these different shows and you meet these different vendors and suppliers, always ask the rates, always be negotiating with them and take notes on them. And you might find a supplier, say in North America, that will beat out the price of China, whether that's on the actual cost of the product or the shipping time or all that good stuff. And speaking of shipping time, outside of just trying to get the lowest price for your product, it's really good if you can come up with some what I like to call emergency vendors. So say you run out of stock because you have just an insane uptick in sales you didn't expect, and say you have this emergency vendor, we already have kind of an agreement. You've tested them, their quality, and they're in America where your FBA fulfillment warehouse is, you can order that product real
Hmm.
quick because you already have that relationship set up. You're not in a oh shit moment where like I need to find a guy in America real quick to make these bowls or whatever.
Hmm.
That can save you some stress. And I personally would always build up a supplier list and make my suppliers compete with each other. If they want, especially if my business is providing them a good business. I'm not a small, business myself. If I'm giving them tens of thousands of dollars per month, perhaps even hundreds of thousands of dollars per month in revenue, then I would definitely keep my suppliers not on their toes because I want to have good relationships with them, but know that they can't
Hmm.
strangle me. Like, if a supplier knows that I'm your only guy who can give you this product, then the relationship might get weird down the road if they want more money from you and you can't really do anything because you never built any of those other vendor
Yeah,
lists.
I mean, as with most things in this world, a lot of it is going to come down to price. So as you try to expand globally, you know, as Greg was saying, keep your vendor list open, but be mindful of who's giving you the best deal in terms of price and shipping time. There are other factors to keep in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, for sure. But another factor is, if you have a good working relationship with your supplier and you find supplier B that offers a way discounted rate, you might still not
Hmm.
go with them just because it is a hassle to switch and like why ruin a good thing that you
Hmm.
got going, right? You might try them out or whatever and see how they do, but there are other factors that go into it other than just price and the logistics aspect for sure.
Andrew asks, what are the biggest pros and cons of Amazon House with two Z's and Jet?
So they all have pretty much the same pros and cons in that they all operate in kind of a similar way. It goes back to what I was saying as the critical points of failure, right? If you only have the FBA business on Amazon, your critical point of failure is Amazon. But that's also the strength of the business in that if you started a Shopify store, you will have way less traffic than what Amazon has. You'll never beat out their traffic. Maybe you could beat out their traffic for a specific niche product, but overall, you will
Hmm.
never beat out their traffic. So that's the thing. That's the huge pro is that it's so much potential and marketing exposure for your product. In Amazon in particular, they have a really great algorithm that will promote your product. So they'll promote your product for free if you can prove to them it's making money. Versus if you have a Shopify store and you're doing really well, no one's promoting you for free. Maybe word of mouth, but no one is putting you high up on some algorithm where potentially hundreds of people or thousands of people can see the product, right? So that's one of the big benefits there. I believe House and Jet also have a similar kind of algorithm, but less so. So pros is a lot of traffic. You can get started easily with FBA in particular. They handle the fulfillment aspect, which is great. Cons is they can change their terms of service anytime, and you might have a $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month business, and if it's all on FBA, they say you're non-compliant, they can shut it off, and suddenly you have a $0 a
Hmm.
month business. So that's one of the big issues with it, and it's something to be aware of, which is why we recommend multi-channel selling, especially if you're trying to build a real good brand.
But I mean, totally, absolutely. I'm a big fan of diversifying and not having all my eggs in one basket in case, as you said, if Amazon does something. But as we said earlier, if you're just getting started, starting on a platform like Amazon, could be good to get you some revenue and some exposure just due to the fact that they are
Absolutely, yeah.
controlling the traffic. And there's a lot of people who shop on Amazon. And as Greg said, if you want to start your own Shopify site and that's how you want to get started, great, and that can be a wonderful tool. But you need to put in the Facebook work, you need to put in the SEO work, you need to run Google
Yeah.
ads and all this stuff, and it's very doable. But in terms of just free traffic, it's you know, am you'll get a lot more on Amazon.
One thing to add on there is like if you want to look at it in levels of skill, like if you are really bad with the logistics side of everything, you should probably start with Amazon FBA because Amazon FBA will handle a lot of the promotional aspects, which will allow you to really deep dive in how does logistics work, how do I handle these different vendors and all that stuff. Now, if you're really good at the logistics side, and maybe you're not that great in the marketing side, then starting something like Shopify will give you Maybe not as quick of sales as Amazon because Amazon has that traffic, but it will allow you to focus on that aspect, especially if you're doing drop shipping where you don't have to source the product yourself and you can just focus on the marketing aspect. Then that might be something for you to do if you just wanted to learn those skills with a little bit of the training wheels on. That might be a
Mm-hmm.
solution for you.
So, Ross, how much is the sales multiple affected if I have 3+ different sales channels? So he's talking about when you go to sell your business.
Mhm.
How is that calculated into the list price?
Yeah, so great question, Ross. It depends on how many SKUs you got, right? How many SKUs are in these different channels? You have one SKU, then maybe not a lot. If you have 5, 10, or 15 SKUs are all earning decent amount of money and they're all kind of carrying their own weight across multiple different channels, it could be a fairly big increase. It could be 3 to maybe 5x more than what you would get if you just had an FBA business or just a drop shipping business with the Shopify store, which can be the difference in tens to hundreds of thousands
Mm-hmm.
of dollars.
And you know, I guess to add on to that, if you are selling your business and it's like Amazon FBA plus I got a Shopify store, but maybe the Shopify storefront is set up just for web presence, maybe
Mm-hmm.
and if the Shopify store is only responsible for 1% of your total revenue, then it may not be as
For sure.
as
We,
important there. But if it's doing 50/50, then that's a different conversation.
Yeah, we see that a lot actually, with especially in FBA where they'll just have kind of a placeholder site like, yes, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
brand. Here's my 3 articles on my site, and yeah, that won't necessarily add any value to the business because it doesn't add any value to the business, right? It's like people who say, oh, I have this affiliate site with 200,000 emails. How much does this email list increase the value of my business? Like, well, you tell me how much money does it make? Like, I haven't emailed them
Mm-hmm.
in years, like, so it makes nothing. Like, like who knows what if this list is even
Mm-hmm.
good, right? It all depends on how effective those channels are helping your business currently if it's going to add a real value when it comes
Yeah,
to
and it can
sell.
be icing on the cake. It can be,
Exactly, yeah.
hey, if you want to do a Shopify site, I have this all set up. I haven't put much work into it. I don't get a ton of traffic, but the
Mhm.
store is there. You just need to figure out the advertising because that is out of my skill set. It can be icing on the
Yeah,
cake,
absolutely.
and to say to say that it doesn't help the sale, it may not add to the list price much, but it may be an incentive for someone to buy. So I guess
For sure.
my advice, to answer your question, or I guess we kind of went away from the question a little bit, but my advice that
I'm a master of
I know, I
tangents.
know, I was actually thinking I'm answering the question, and I had to step back and think. Okay, no, that wasn't the question.
What was the
The
question?
question was how it affects the sale. So I mean, we're still in the ballpark. But my advice would be, do it. Set up the different channels, as long as you are doing it in a way where you're not losing money. And if
Yeah,
you are, I mean, if you're losing money on something, not a good idea when trying to set up your business for sale. But
for sure.
yeah, if
No one wants to buy a
yeah, no
nonprofit,
one no one wants
right?
to buy a business that's not making that they're not going to get their investment back on, because you got to look at it like when you buy a business, you're going into it with the mindset, okay, how long will it take me to get back my investment? So I mean, do all of this stuff because it can be icing on the cake, and it can help them think, okay, with this non-performing Shopify site, it's already set up, so I can just hire a marketer and it'll help me get my investment back quicker.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing as setting up SOPs,
Mm-hmm.
standard operating procedures. They don't necessarily add to your multiple, but they make the business far more attractable, and so it widens that buyer pool. You always want to think, how could I widen the attraction that this business has? And the more infrastructure you have in place, the more SOPs, the more systems you have, the more attractive it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be at the end of the day.
So we have one more question. Um, so Drew says, if you sell on multiple platforms and use the same sales copy, does that hurt your chances of being found organically by Google?
I wouldn't really say so because the game with that strategy isn't necessarily ranked in Google. You like sure you can put your product on Amazon and do what is known as parasite SEO. I think there might be a more attractive name for it, but that's the name I know for it, which is basically where, because Amazon has such huge domain authority, people could send thousands of links to this listing and rank it. But you're probably not going to be doing that on Houzz and Jet.com and all that stuff. And you're really just trying to optimize for their platforms, not for Google. So Houzz doesn't care that you have the same copy on Amazon. That won't affect their
Mm-hmm.
algorithm at all, So you're really looking at the SEO play internally within their own search engine
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem.
So I think that's going to wrap it up. I think it's going to wrap it up for us. And we're coming in right at the hour mark. So, I mean, this was perfect timing. And we had a lot of good questions. Guys, thank you all so much. Greg, before we, get around to wrapping it up, do you have any final thoughts you wanna share with multi-channel sales?
Yeah, it's, if you're just starting out, you might not want to do it. As I mentioned, it is more of a long-term strategy for a brand, but it is definitely worthwhile to check it out. You will be amazed at some of these deals that can happen from multi-channel selling and just being open to that concept. There's a guy I know, a seller with us actually. He was on an airplane and was talking to this person about their product or his product that he sells, and she suddenly was like, whoa, I'm the VP of this company, I love this product, I want to use it as part of our marketing, and order tens of thousands of them from him. In fact, he had to sell one of his business with us to gain enough capital to fulfill the order that she made on his business. And that's an example of an offline like boutique retailer kind of situation that you can come into when you do multi-channel selling. Just having that mindset of always thinking of where's another platform I can put my product, especially one that you have proven sales copy on. You can just put it right up onto that platform. Maybe you have to tweak it a little bit for that demographic, but it's a proven strategy and it works really
I
well.
guess my big piece of advice is, and again, this is with the comment that you are not losing money, but as long as the margins work out, as long as the shipping works out, getting in front of
Mm-hmm.
more eyes can only help the business. And again,
Absolutely.
that's with the condition that doing it doesn't lose you money. Um, like, but the case where that would be, the margins are too low. Maybe, and I'm just pulling a name out of the hat. I don't know, but maybe Walmart takes a bigger cut than Amazon does, or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and you aren't going to actually make any money selling on Walmart. Um, but assuming everything's all good there and getting in front of more people can only give you more sales.
And to add on top of what you just said, Jake, that whole concept of your margins and stuff, that goes back to what I was, harping on earlier in this conversation about having that central nervous system, that central hub that has all the data in one place. Because yeah, multi-channel selling is fantastic, but maybe you find out that specifically Jet.com doesn't sell your product, like at least one SKU, very
Mm-hmm.
well. So you might just want to stop that completely. You might want to just stop that channel for that product and use those resources for other
Mm-hmm.
channels, right? So all make sure you got that tracking down because it's extremely beneficial for your business.
And just, final add on to that is having that information there not only helps you run your business, but when it comes time to sell, having that
Way
information,
easier,
it really
yeah.
helps you. We did an episode on getting your P&Ls and stuff set up for sale a few weeks ago. So go ahead and check that out if you want more information on that. But just having
Please
please
check
check
that
that out.
out.
It's a very very it was a very good episode, and it can help you can help streamline the selling
that,
process.
that is one of the number one mistakes we see that people have in these e-commerce businesses, or at least if it's not number one, it's pretty close to number one. Is their P&L is wrong. So it's worth the time. Check out that video. Hire an accountant or a bookkeeper, whatever you need to do. Get those right because you might get to the very late end of a deal, like a multiple six-figure, multiple seven-figure deal, and something's off on that P&L, and it could be something that is just not a big deal at all. But because there's that error on that P&L, it shakes buyers'
Mm-hmm.
confidence a lot. I mean, this is the most important document in your business that actually like gives you the lifeline of how your business is doing. So if buyer sees that, like, well, if he's messing this up, what else is he messing up? It kind of it hurts the buyer's confidence quite a bit. So definitely get those P&Ls
Yeah, and
right.
you don't necessarily need to hire an accountant. There, as we spoke about in this episode, there are
Mm-hmm.
these software tools that can help you do it. You know, there's do it yourself, and then there's hire someone. But there are these tools that can kind of like be a middleman there that can help you, you know, meet
Yeah,
in the middle and you know get that information together is very very important. Yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap it
absolutely.
up for us. EF Live episode 6. Thank you all so much for hanging out and saw some familiar faces in the in the chat room and stuff. So thank you again so much for coming out and supporting us. And oh,
One
go for
last
it.
thing, make sure we just started our Instagram channel. So if you guys are all on Instagram, come on over to Instagram.com/Empire Flippers. Give Jake Davis a little hashtag love. EF Jake Davis, I love you on
Yeah,
EF
I'm not
Live.
even.
It's a really long hashtag, but it'll work. It'll
I'm
trend,
not
I'm
even on
sure.
Instagram. You know, in full disclosure, I'm not on Instagram. It's you know now I'm gonna have to. Thanks a lot, Greg.
I was telling one our guy who was setting it up and running it, like I was like, oh man, I need to get an Instagram account. He's like, we're talking about you have an Instagram account. Like I do. I looked at it like, oh wow, I totally forgot I even had this
I
thing.
just got on Twitter like a month ago, and now you're telling me I have to get on Instagram too, man. You know, like
We're starting Pinterest too, so you're going to be pinning those
oh
boards
yeah,
someday.
you see this poster here, pin. Yeah, guys, thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back EF Live every single week. I'll be on with you know a new member of the Empire Flippers team and other you know individuals outside of the Empire Flippers team to try to provide you the best content on running, starting, and selling your own online business. And and buying. Did I say buying? I said maybe. I don't know. And buying. We're definitely gonna have episodes catered to buyers. So that'll be every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, come back and with any questions you have, come back and support. And thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks
Yep.
everyone.
Have a fantastic day, everyone.